Welcome, Ken from Lawyers Hub. And we're now live. So, welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. It's really an informal conversation that we are having, and I remember asking early in the week whether they would be interested in sort of knowing what's up with WhatsApp. I like that. I like that pun. But it's essentially a conversation that will enable us to know what's up and how WhatsApp is sort of proceeding and doing the new terms and conditions. The new terms and conditions were supposed to have come in live a bit earlier in the year, but then because of protests from people, they sort of postponed it. I'm not sure that they have made any edits to it, but we are happy to have a couple of learned friends who can be friendly with us and help us to understand what what those terms and conditions say, what they mean for us as Africans, because we are among the largest group of users for WhatsApp globally, and we try and figure out what, if anything, we should do about it, and if there's any chance for us to sort of advocate differently for Facebook and the WhatsApp group to sort of change their tactics, then maybe we will know how to do it. Today, I'm going to be joined by three of my friends who volunteered to sort of educate us on this. Tom Orell, who I don't see anymore. I had him. I'm going to invite them to all come on video now so that I can see it. Tom Orell is the MD of Data Ready in the UK. Great friend of ours, and he's working very closely with the Open Institute on many of our African programs relating to data protection and data governance. And he's a human rights lawyer, so he's an expert on this subject. Then I have with me Dimas Kiprono, who works for Amnesty International Kenya. And he also is a human rights lawyer, and he's very passionate about this subject. And I'm also joined by Linda Bonyo, who I hope will be coming on video soon. She's also going to be talking to us about how do we localize this information? How do we get to understand? How does, in fact, Linda, I know that one of the jobs I'm going to be giving you here is to try and translate this to us lay people, because Tom and Dimas might end up talking above our heads. And we're hoping that Linda, given that you work at the Lawyers Hub, you have a little more connection to Raya, which is our term for everyday people, and that you'll be able to translate it for us. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Tom. Tom, WhatsApp is coming up with new terms and conditions, and would you just take a little bit of time and tell us what the top three things that we should be aware of? What are they? What is the impact? What are they saying they're going to be doing, and why should we be too worried about it?
Hi, Al. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, and very happy to be here. I think this is a really good example of many of the very kind of big ideas and abstract terms that get thrown around the internet these days: data protection, privacy, etc. So this is a really good example of a change which might seem a bit boring on the face of it and a bit technical, and it's very legitimate to ask, why does this matter? But in reality, it can have quite a big impact. And I think, in terms of the three things, this impacts people, it impacts people's rights, it impacts power dynamics and power relationships, and it impacts money and wealth and where that money goes and how it's used. WhatsApp, I think it's important to understand the changes that these terms and conditions will bring. It's important to understand the history of WhatsApp. WhatsApp was bought by Facebook in 2014. Before that, it had been its own company without anybody else controlling it. And it was designed as a messaging system that would be private between individuals, without outside interference, without adverts, without any kind of monitoring. When Facebook bought WhatsApp, it promised that it would keep that privacy within the app, and that it wouldn't share data between Facebook and WhatsApp and its other companies. Now, a lot has changed since 2014, and Facebook now controls the Facebook social media platform. It controls Messenger, so Facebook Messenger. It controls Instagram, and it controls WhatsApp. So actually, Facebook has quite a lot of exposure to lots of people's social media. It has exposure to their thoughts and ideas as they share them on Facebook. It has exposure to their intimate photographs of family, friends, travel locations as they share on Instagram. And increasingly, it has exposure to kinds of data that it can pull from WhatsApp. I do think it's important to say that no changes to the terms and conditions currently would allow Facebook to access your messages. So what I mean by that is no one is going to go into WhatsApp and start seeing exactly what you've written to your mother or your lover or your friend, whoever, whatever the case may be. But what they are trying to do is access data about that data. And what I mean by that is that they want to know, for instance, when you sent a message to your lover, when you sent a message to your mother, how long you had a phone conversation with your friend with. That kind of data is known as metadata. And even though it doesn't give you access to the content of the message, it can still tell a lot about you. Do you call your mother every day at 6 o'clock, for instance? And they can help to develop patterns. Now, the other thing to remember is that the update to the terms and conditions which are being undertaken now will not affect individual to individual communications. They will affect individual to business communications and business to individual communications. What that means is for those small businesses, say street vendors or tailors in Nairobi who might use WhatsApp to send photographs of shirts which have been made for a customer, it will affect their communications. And what WhatsApp will have to do now, if you sign the new terms and conditions, what you'll be agreeing to is allowing WhatsApp to basically share lots more information about you with its parent company, Facebook. It will be sharing access to your photographs. It will be sharing the metadata fields that I mentioned about when you've been speaking to people, who you've been speaking to, your contact lists, email addresses, and other bits of metadata. So there is a strong component here as it relates to people's rights, because if you think about it, if you're somebody who has a WhatsApp account, an Instagram account, a Facebook account, and a Facebook Messenger account, what you're basically agreeing to now is one company having access to data about when you're messaging people, how you're messaging them. They're able to combine that data with the photographs that you're sharing on Instagram, with the thoughts and ideas that you share on Facebook, and they can develop very, very, very focused profiles of you as a user. And why is this important, and why do they want to do this? And this is where it comes to power and money. It comes to money because the basic business model of a company like Facebook is that they make money by selling targeted advertising. So by having a very detailed profile of you as a user, they're able to sell that profile to advertisers who will pay a lot of money to be able to then target products at you. Why is this about power? It's about power because it's giving control of a huge amount of information to a private company, which is a very long way from Kenya or any of the other countries that it works in. In many places in the world, including in many parts of Africa, WhatsApp is also used by civil society groups, by civic groups, to share vital information about developments on the ground, about issues around democracy or local issues. For example, I'm half Palestinian, and at the moment in Israel and Palestine, there's a lot of trouble, there's a lot of strife, and there have been reports of Facebook and Instagram shutting down certain hashtags relating to Jerusalem. This is the same company that owns WhatsApp. So if you're a WhatsApp user in that kind of context where you're facing civil rights issues, there is an issue here about why a company in America gets to decide what should or shouldn't be in the public space, in public discourse. And I think the same kind of question applies to Kenya or any other place where WhatsApp is being used for civic engagement. In relation to money, the last point I would also make is that, to my knowledge, WhatsApp and Facebook don't pay taxes in Kenya or any of the other countries outside of America that they operate in. So again, there's a question here about the utilization of people's private data to develop a business model that is very exploitative and extractive without giving anything back to the local community. I'll just end by saying that, while the terms and conditions update, which WhatsApp is now pushing, seem quite mundane in many respects, they